He lost his job, had no money, and no plan, but in less than 2 years, he became the king of TikTok. This is not just his story, it could be yours too. Welcome to Easy English Official. Today, we begin the inspiring journey of Khaby, a young man who went from jobless to world famous without saying a single word. This story is not only about TikTok, it's about hope, creativity, and believing in yourself. While you listen, you will also practice your English in a fun and easy way. In this video, you'll see how Khaby turned struggle into opportunity. We'll explore the moments that changed his life, the lessons he learned, and the message he now shares with the world. By the end, you'll understand why millions of people love him and how his story can inspire your own dreams. Chapter 1: Before TikTok, Khaby's life in Italy, losing his job during 2020. Khaby grew up in Italy in a small town, living a simple life with his family. He was like many young people, going to school and dreaming about the future. Life was not easy, but he always found a way to smile. His story begins long before he became famous. When the pandemic started in 2020, everything changed. Factories closed, jobs were lost, and Khaby was one of the many people left without work. He suddenly had no job and no money to support himself. It was a dark and uncertain time. At first, Khaby felt hopeless, like his dreams were slipping away. He stayed at home with nothing to do, watching the world outside become quieter and quieter. Many of his friends were also struggling, and no one knew what tomorrow would bring. The future looked empty. But Khaby had something powerful, a creative spirit. Even when times were hard, he wanted to make people laugh. He didn't have money for big equipment or special cameras. What he did have was a phone and an idea. In his small bedroom, he began recording videos. There was no script, no dialogue, and no fancy background. He used his face, his hands, and his expressions to tell the story. It was simple, but it was powerful. At first, only a few people saw his videos. He uploaded them with no expectation of fame. But something surprising happened. Viewers started sharing them. Slowly, more people began to notice Khaby's unique style. His videos were different from others online. While many creators tried to be loud and dramatic, Khaby stayed quiet. He showed everyday problems and solved them in the simplest way. The silence became his voice, and people loved it. Soon, comments began flooding in from around the world. People said they didn't need translation to understand his humor. Laughter connected everyone, no matter the language they spoke. Khaby's silence became universal. This was only the beginning of his rise. Every day, more people clicked on his videos. Every share brought new followers, and every follower brought new encouragement. His simple idea was turning into something much bigger. For Khaby, creating videos became a new purpose. Instead of feeling hopeless, he woke up excited to make content. Even without words, he expressed positivity and hope. It gave him energy to keep moving forward. Friends and family also noticed the change. They saw his confidence grow with each new video. What started as a small experiment now looked like a real opportunity. Khaby was not just passing time, he was building something. By the end of Chapter 1, we see Khaby transformed from a jobless young man to a dreamer with direction. He still didn't know he would become the king of TikTok, but he had already taken the first steps. His journey had officially begun. Chapter 2, The First Videos, How he started creating silent videos in his bedroom. Khaby's first videos were simple, but they carried something special. He used his hands and his face to show what many people already felt. Viewers laughed because the problems were so familiar. They laughed even more at his calm, obvious solutions. Every video ended with his famous hand gesture, as if to say, "See? It's that easy." This small gesture became his trademark. People waited for it in every clip, and they shared it with their friends. It made him unforgettable. As days turned into weeks, his following began to grow quickly. Social media algorithms noticed that people were watching his videos until the very end. The platforms pushed his content to more and more screens. Khaby's quiet style was spreading like fire. Other creators were spending money on lighting, costumes, and effects. Khaby proved he didn't need any of that. His bedroom wall became his studio, and his phone became his camera. It was raw, real, and relatable. Viewers loved how honest it felt. There were no tricks, no fake personalities, just Khaby being himself. In a world filled with noise, his silence stood out. That silence spoke louder than words. Soon, comments started arriving in many different languages. People from Brazil, India, America, and Africa all laughed at the same joke. They didn't need subtitles to understand him. Humor had no borders. Each upload brought thousands of new followers. Khaby's account was climbing faster than anyone expected. Friends encouraged him, saying he had found something magical. Strangers online called him a genius of simplicity. Khaby, however, stayed humble. He didn't think of himself as a star. He thought of himself as someone who loved making people laugh. His focus was not on fame but on connection. This mindset kept him grounded while he grew. Instead of chasing numbers, he chased creativity. Instead of competing with others, he competed with himself to improve. That attitude won him even more respect. By the middle of 2020, Khaby's videos were being shared on major pages. Influencers reposted his clips without even knowing who he was. Slowly, his face and his gesture were becoming symbols of pure comedy. People began calling him the silent comedian of TikTok. They said his expressions were funnier than words. Even those who didn't usually watch TikTok found themselves laughing at his short clips. He was reaching beyond the app itself. Chapter 2 ends with Khaby moving from a small creator to a rising star. He had not yet reached the peak, but the momentum was unstoppable. What started in his bedroom was now reaching millions. The world was beginning to take notice. Chapter 3, The Rise, His Unique Style, Why People All Over the World Loved Him. As Khaby's audience grew, something amazing began to happen. Brands, influencers, and even celebrities started to notice him. They were fascinated by his ability to entertain millions without saying a single word. Silence had become his superpower. Every new video seemed to break his last record. Millions of views came in within hours of uploading. The internet could not get enough of his calm face and simple logic. He had become a fresh breath of air in a noisy digital world. Journalists began writing about him, calling him the new face of TikTok. They compared his style to old silent film comedians who could make people laugh without sound. But Khaby was modern, young, and connected to social media culture. That made him unique. For Khaby, the fame felt unreal. Just months ago, he was unemployed and worried about rent. Now, his phone buzzed with endless notifications from people all around the globe. Life was changing faster than he ever imagined. One of the reasons people loved him was his honesty. He didn't pretend to be perfect, rich, or flashy. He stayed the same boy from the small town in Italy. That authenticity was rare online, and viewers felt it deeply. As he grew more popular, other creators tried to copy his style. They mimicked his gestures and expressions, hoping for the same success. But the audience knew there was only one true Khaby. Originality could not be faked. By now, his videos were being translated into news clips and shared on TV. Families gathered to laugh at his simple skits. Teachers even used his content in classrooms to show how humor can cross cultures. He was no longer just a TikTok star, he was a global phenomenon. Despite all this attention, Khaby stayed grounded. He still lived with his family, still used his phone, and still filmed in ordinary rooms. Fame had not changed his lifestyle. That humility made people love him even more. He became a symbol of possibility for young creators everywhere. People said, "If Khaby can do it, so can I." His story gave hope to those who thought they needed money or perfect English to succeed. He proved creativity was more powerful than resources. By late 2020, he was one of the fastest-growing creators in the world. Each day brought millions of new followers. His journey had moved far beyond Italy. The whole planet was now watching. The media crowned him as the voice of simplicity in a complicated world. He showed that life's problems didn't need drama, just a little common sense. His hand gesture became an icon, a symbol of truth delivered with humor. Chapter 3 closes with Khaby standing at the edge of worldwide fame. He had gone from being unknown to becoming a household name online. And yet, this was only the rise, the true peak was still ahead. The king of TikTok was just beginning to claim his throne. Chapter 4, Becoming Number 1, Khaby as the most followed creator on TikTok. As the months passed, Khaby's numbers exploded at a speed no one had seen before. Each day, millions of new people clicked the follow button. The quiet young man from Italy was becoming the loudest voice on the internet. His fame was unstoppable. In early 2021, he officially passed some of the biggest stars on TikTok. Every headline shouted about the boy who said nothing but made the world laugh. Fans celebrated his rise as if it was their own victory. The silent creator was now history in the making. Celebrities started following him, leaving comments and sharing his clips. Football players, actors, and musicians wanted to appear in his videos. Suddenly, Khaby was not only watching famous people online, he was working with them. His dream life had arrived. Yet even in those collaborations, he stayed true to himself. He never spoke more than necessary. He never changed his trademark gesture. The stars around him adjusted to his style, proving that his brand was stronger than theirs. For young people everywhere, this was proof that authenticity wins. They saw Khaby as someone who never pretended to be anyone else. His success was not built on money or connections. It was built on honesty and creativity. TikTok itself celebrated his rise, featuring him on their official pages. News outlets across the globe wrote about him becoming the #1 most followed creator. Suddenly, the boy from the factory was at the very top. He was the king of a new world. What made his success even greater was its timing. During the pandemic, people felt lonely and stressed. Khaby's silent humor gave them comfort and joy. His content was more than entertainment, it was healing. As his fame grew, so did his influence. Companies invited him to major events, and brands wanted him as their ambassador. But Khaby chose carefully, always protecting his simple style. He knew fame could be dangerous if it changed who he was. Behind the scenes, he still lived with his family and kept a normal life. Friends said he was the same Khaby they had always known. He did not let millions of followers blind him. This humility made fans love him even more. By mid-2021, Khaby's account reached the top spot in the world. He had officially become the most followed creator on TikTok. The crown was his, but he wore it with quiet pride. The boy with no words had beaten everyone with words. People everywhere began to ask, how did he do it? What was his secret? The answer was both simple and powerful: be yourself, stay consistent, and make people feel something. That was Khaby's formula for success. Chapter 4 ends with Khaby sitting on the throne of TikTok. He was no longer just a viral trend, he was a legend. And his story was far from over, because being #1 was only the beginning of an even bigger journey. Chapter 5. Lessons for you: what learners and viewers can take from Khaby's journey. No need for big budget, just a unique idea. Khaby's story is more than just entertainment, it is a lesson for everyone. He showed that success does not always come from money or power. It can come from creativity, persistence, and courage. His journey is proof that simple ideas can change lives. One important lesson is that you don't need perfect English or fancy words to connect with people. Khaby never said a word in his videos, yet he reached millions across the globe. His silence taught us that human expression is stronger than language. Connection is universal. Another lesson is that you don't need expensive tools to start. Khaby only had a phone and his imagination. He didn't wait for perfect equipment or a professional studio. He started small, and that small step grew into something extraordinary. Consistency also played a big role. He didn't stop after his first few videos. Even when the views were low, he kept uploading. That persistence created a habit, and the habit built success. Step by step, his audience grew. Humility is another lesson from Khaby's journey. Even after becoming #1 on TikTok, he remained grounded. He stayed the same humble young man from Italy. Success did not change his values, and that made his fans respect him even more. Khaby also showed that originality is powerful. Many tried to copy his style, but none could replace him. Being yourself is the strongest weapon in a world full of copies. The audience always knows when something is real. He taught people not to overcomplicate things. In a time when everyone was chasing drama and noise, Khaby's quiet videos stood out. Simplicity was his secret weapon. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the most powerful. His story also encourages us to see problems differently. Instead of feeling crushed by losing his job, he turned it into an opportunity. Hardship became the doorway to success. That mindset can inspire anyone facing challenges today. Another message is about global unity. People from every continent laughed at the same joke. It didn't matter if they spoke English, Spanish, or Arabic. Khaby proved that laughter can unite the world without translation. For learners of English, Khaby's story is especially inspiring. It shows that you don't have to be perfect to share your message. Confidence, creativity, and action are more important than flawless language. You can learn while you grow. His journey is also a reminder that fame is not everything. What truly matters is the positive impact you leave on others. Khaby gave people joy, hope, and relief during a difficult time. That gift is worth more than followers or money. Chapter 5 closes by turning the spotlight on you, the viewer. What simple idea do you have that could inspire the world? Khaby's story is proof that even from nothing, greatness can rise. If he could do it, maybe your journey is about to begin too. Khaby's journey proves that you don't need a big budget, perfect language, or a glamorous life to succeed. All you need is an idea, persistence, and the courage to share it with the world. From his bedroom in Italy to the top of TikTok, he showed us that success is possible for anyone. Thank you for watching with Easy English Official. If Khaby's story inspired you, imagine what your own story could be. Subscribe for more simple and powerful English stories, and let us know in the comments what dream you are ready to chase. The next inspiring journey we tell could be yours.